Welcome to this week's edition of the Tax Talk, a show designed with the purpose of educating not just taxpayers but residents of Lagos State on all matters dealing with tax administration. My name is Oyinlola Sally, and I will be with you for the duration of the show.
This is business news. The Lagos State Building Control Agency has expanded its activities to its new office to address the recurring issue of building collapses within the state. In his speech at the unveiling of the new Lagos State Building Control Agency in Ikeja area of the state, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu asserted that with the inauguration of the agency's building, it is positioned to effectively discharge its responsibility in line with the agenda of the government. He said the newly inaugurated office will serve as the nerve center for vital functions equipped with modern technology and skilled workforce to enhance efficiency and effectiveness as it marks a pivotal movement in the administration's effort in enhancing building regulations and eliminate structural risk. According to Governor Sanwo-Olu, quote, "The greenhouse is more than a building. It's a turning point. This permanent base empowers the agency to enforce regulations seamlessly. Our goal, curbing building collapse incidents and fostering a safe, compliant environment. We won't compromise on safety. My directive to all regulatory agencies is crystal clear. No leniency towards any building that doesn't meet standards. The agency greenhouse will serve as a central hub for enforcing regulations and ensuring urban development," end quote. DKK Nigeria, in partnership with Lagos State Internal Revenue Service (LIRS), has unveiled Tax Tribe, an initiative which marks the commencement of tax club activities aimed at nurturing a profound understanding of taxation among secondary school students and shaping them into being future tax ambassadors. Speaking at the ceremony held at the Lagos City Senior College, Saboyaba, the Director Informal Sector and Special Duties (LIRS), Dr. Folashade Koka, said it is imperative for young ones to note that taxation is a mandatory levy imposed by the government on all adults earning income. According to her, the tax tribe has the objective of fostering knowledge in secondary school students as it aligns with its commitment to ensuring accessibility to tax education. The Association of Certified Fraud Examiners Lagos chapter has reiterated the need for taxpayers to regularly check their compliance level to be sure that they are not acting contrary to existing tax laws and regulations. The association, in a communique issued at the end of its sixth anti-fraud conference investiture ceremony, advised against complacency even when all seem fine, noting that the complexity of tax laws may leave payers at risk of unaccounted for tax exposures. The ACFE explained that this was necessary to avoid emergency and business distractions that may result from tax penalties, which included 3 years imprisonment and property seizure, among others. It further encouraged them to carry out a comprehensive review of tax reconciliation so as to be able to identify opportunities to reduce tax liability or to obtain refund of overpaid tax. That's it on business news.
Since the issue of taxes is one mandated by law, there is a need to avail ourselves of what the legal implications are so that one does not run foul of the law. As a business owner, entrepreneur, or someone who is interested in the roles and responsibilities of the LIRS, what areas do we need to take note of from a legal perspective? Can you incur penalties or even face jail time? Are there amendments to tax laws one should take note of? What about relevant timelines? Joining me to discuss pertinent details is the LIRS Director of Legal Services, Mr. Seyi Alade. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's really great to have you on the show today.
A pleasure.
Now, let's discuss about your role as the Director of Legal Services at the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. What does it entail?
Thank you very much for that question. Section 87(5) of the Personal Income Tax Act, as amended, makes provision for the role of the legal advisor to the tax authority, the service, and the board. And that role the the director legal can represent the agency in his professional capacity.
I see.
Although he cannot give evidence on behalf of the agency while doing so. So the tax of the legal directorate and the legal director is a very, very important one. And the major roles, I would like to, encapsulate them, in three ways. Okay. One major one is the rendering of legal advisory services to the tax authority, to the service. A lot of times, premium is not paid on advisory services, but that is very, very important.
And why is that?
Very good. Before any action is taken, you must check with the statutes. So our role, first and foremost, is guiding the agency so as to follow strictly what the law says, because every statutory provision, tax statutory provision, is interpreted very strictly indeed. You cannot import anything from it. You cannot add, and the interpretation, the canon of interpretation concerning tax laws is very, very strict. So our job, first and foremost, is to make sure that the tax authority, that is the LIRS, goes along with all statutory provisions concerning taxation, concerning its taxing powers. That is one. Secondly, we play the role of oversight also before we come to, because we are kind of like most times stereotyped as enforcement.
I see. So you try to play it down.
Exactly. So we make sure that all the notices that are being sent out conforms with extant statutory provisions. And then, of course, we come to the issue of wielding the big stick. We are the enforcement arm of the agency. When any taxpayer has become what we call non-compliant, the file of such a taxpayer is sent to the legal directorate. And when it comes to the legal directorate, we now become the recovery agents for the agency. And in recovering taxes, there are different ways that we go about that. There are certain recovery actions that borders on tax evasion. So if a taxpayer is deemed to be guilty of tax evasion, then we are going to go against that taxpayer, through criminal prosecution and not just recoveries in the civil courts, And then when it comes to civil actions as well, we can go after the properties of the taxpayer. That is one of the very important powers given to the tax authority. Section 24F of the Constitution says that every citizen must declare his income honestly. Declaration comes with filing of returns, of tax returns. So there is a statutory provision for you to file your returns, which is constitutional, and then pay your taxes. So when you are failed to file your returns and to pay your taxes, what you have simply done is you are evading taxes. So how we deal with this? There are multiple ways And, in our system, we seem to, still be grappling, with the records when it comes to the knowing the real population of people and staying in a particular place and things like that. So what we do mostly is there's a continuous enumeration exercises by the LIRS. So there are different ways that we follow people's footsteps to see their economic activities, what they do, and then when we see that, of course, we compare notes with our data, and when we don't see you inside that data, that is inside the tax net, then, of course, we call on you to come on board. But when you don't come on board, that means that you are being non-compliant, and then the big stick, we have to wield the big stick. And that big stick in this area is criminal prosecution for tax evasion.
You just mentioned tax evasion and all of that. So how do you address those issues?
We are duty bound also to still give a notice for the taxpayer to please come forward and resolve that particular liability or issue, so that we do not escalate it towards enforcement. But if it does not happen, if the taxpayer is not forthcoming, then of course we have to move it to proper recovery action. Thank you.
Can you shed more light on this recovery action?
Very well. We have different routes for our recovery actions. We recover through the magistrate courts. Section 78 of the Personal Income Tax Act provides that the magistrate courts and the high courts, can be approached. And when we approach them through that section, we are approaching them that a debt owed the state is what we are bringing in. So the tax now is no more just a tax in that way. So that section 78 converts the tax, that tax liability, into a debt owed the state. So, and we approach the court for recovery action through that. And of course, if we have to, we can obtain a warrant to levy distress on the goods and chattels of the taxpayer. This action, we are always very reluctant to go that path. But when we are forced to, we never shy away from it. And the law permits us to, take hold of the goods and chattels of the taxpayer and sell to recover the tax debt. In a situation where the goods and chattels they cannot cover for the tax debt, then we can go back, approach the court for an order to sell the property.
Thanks for all you have said so far, Mr. Seyi. But right now, we need to go on a quick break.
All right.
We're going on a quick break at this moment. Don't go anywhere. The Tax Talk continues.
I will make a start shortlist business. They give them 150K to my friends. Let's do this. Taxes? I didn't even think about this. So I'll have to pay tax to build a house in Lagos. Maybe I should take a remote job. That way, I can avoid taxes. But wait, bloggers and content creators pay taxes too. So tax officials in Lagos monitor digital space for tax payment. Wait, why don't I start importing and exporting of phones and gadgets? Bro, how far now?
Femo, how far?
Bro, I want to join the business where they do.
Oh, small. You just need money. I hope you have your tax clearance certificate.
Tax? Are you kidding me?
Without it, shishi, you no fit do. You have to visit the nearest tax office.
I can't believe it. There's no way out of this. I have to face my tax obligations if I want to start a life in Lagos.
Dear Lagosians, your taxes enable the government to invest in education, healthcare, security, housing, and many more. By continuing to pay your taxes, you are investing in a brighter future for all. This message is brought to you by the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS.
Welcome back. We have been discussing on tax and the legal aspects of businesses. And of course, I still have here with me Mr. Seyi Alade, the Director of Legal Services at the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. Now, let's take a look at the challenges at the legal division. Now, what are some of them that you're experiencing and how are you addressing them?
Some of the challenges that we have, we want to situate them more as even challenges of the tax authority as a whole. As a legal directorate, you cannot begin to enforce what you do not see. You cannot enforce what you do not see. So, but with more technology-driven regulations, bringing companies that are operating, in the air, let me put it that way. Technology, we will be able to, have to surmount some of these challenges. The other challenges that are, local, if I can call that, locally based challenges, they are mostly issues of advancing maybe cases in court. We have some of that. We would love to see our cases move faster, in court, because when taxpayers know that's okay, there are convictions that are being meted out by the court, it serves as a deterrent to other taxpayers from going that path, So these are just some of the challenges that we have.
And what is the timeline for registering a business with the LIRS?
Any new company or enterprise has within 6 months to register the company with the LIRS, especially for payee purposes for its employees. So you have within 6 months to do that.
Now, lastly, what advice do you have for taxpayers who want to comply with the tax laws?
Now, I always like to point out that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So a taxpayer who wants to do the right thing must get knowledgeable about its tax obligations. So, for instance, you're starting a business, you must know that within 6 months of starting that business, you need to register your business with the nearest tax authority. And then filings of returns is very, very important. I mentioned in one of the episodes that it is a constitutional duty for every citizen to declare honestly, their income. And how do you declare your income? Is by filing returns. So for the employer, you must file. You cannot make payments to the tax authority without filing returns of what payments you're making. In that situation, you're turning the tax authority to, a voodoo authority to begin to second guess and all of that. So you must file proper returns. And then the annual returns you must file. There are different entities. Banks are also meant to file returns of new customers. Every new customer, they must file returns of those new customers. Those are information that are statutorily, or the obligations of the banks to do. So when you do all of that and you make the necessary payments, then you as a taxpayer, you'll be riding very, very smoothly with the tax authority without any form of issues. And then also the taxpayer, I will advise further, should not shy away from visiting the tax authority's website and others, our social media platforms.
Okay.
We are on the Instagram, we are on Twitter and every other platform. And because we roll out different directives, information on these different platforms. So the kind of relationship we want to have with our taxpayers is a very seamless one, a very warm relationship. We see them, as partners in building our country and our state, Lagos State.
Thanks for coming on the show today. It was quite informative, most especially as we delve deep into the legal aspect of tax.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure, always.
Well, we have come to the end of this discussion on tax and the legal aspect of businesses. Please don't go anywhere. The Tax Talk continues.
I mean, make I start shortlist business. They give them 150K to my friends. Let's do this. Taxes? I didn't even think about this. So I'll have to pay tax to build a house in Lagos. Maybe I should take a remote job. That way, I can avoid taxes. But wait, bloggers and content creators pay taxes too. So tax officials in Lagos monitor digital space for tax payment. Wait, why don't I start importing and exporting of phones and gadgets? Bro, how far now?
Femo, how far?
Bro, I won't join the business where they do.
Oh, small. You just need money. I hope you have your tax clearance certificate.
Tax? Are you kidding me?
Without it, shishi, you no fit do. You have to visit the nearest tax office.
I can't believe it. There's no way out of this. I have to face my tax obligations if I want to start a life in Lagos.
Dear Lagosians, your taxes enable the government to invest in education, healthcare, security, housing, and many more. By continuing to pay your taxes, you are investing in a brighter future for all. This message is brought to you by the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS.
A lot of times, people wonder what their taxes have been used for. What projects can we identify and say, this is where taxpayers' money has been put to good use? Tax Did It helps to educate you on such projects so you are left in no doubt as to what has been done. Tax Did It is next on the lineup. Thank you for staying with us. Back to the streets we go again on Tax Your Brain. Let's see how many people get this one right.
Welcome to Tax Your Brain on the Tax Talk. I am Nifemi. Today's question is, name 3 projects that Lagos State taxes have been used for.
Lagos Brewery, Lagos Water Project, and rehabilitation of school.
Rehabilitation of schools, the Blue Railway line, and road projects.
I can say water ferry, blue rail line, and building of schools, and bridges, I think, and Lagos Transit.
The rehabilitation of schools, the Lagos Blue Rail Line, and the water ferries.
This is our first winner for today. What do you have to say, Ma?
Thank you, LRS. Thank you, Tax Talk.
Thank you, Ma. And it's a wrap for Tax Your Brain, but the Tax Talk continues. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Our social media handles are on your screen. Be sure to follow us. From Corporate Talk to Tax Did It, LIRS Diary to Tax Your Brain. I hope you've been educated on today's edition of the show. My name is Oyinlola Sally, and it's time for me to say goodbye.